Hey, welcome back to another carb cleaning update. I've gone ahead and run this carb through the ultrasonic cleaner with diluted pine sol several times. And then I pulled out this Berryman Chem Dip carburetor and parts cleaner, soaked it in that for about a half an hour. And we're still not entirely clean. So I remembered I had these brushes. They came with some carburetor I bought. So I don't know if you can get a good view of that or not, but it's almost there. Still some of that varnish, a little bit here and there. And then these brushes, although they're too big for jets, work pretty good. I've taken the emulsion tube out and the main jet out. So there, and maybe one of the smaller ones for the fuel inlet. Yeah, although, there it goes. It could be a bit stiffer. And then you're not going to see it on film, but I need to get in here, and I think it's still a little bit clogged on this side. And then this also works for the choke passage. And the overflow, actually I can get a bigger one in that. That's not as critical, but... And then this has got, because I rinsed it and didn't like hit it with compressed air. We got a little aluminum oxide on it, but I can wipe that off with some WD-40 or something. Shine it back up. I might be able to substitute this float, although this one looks like it'll clean up. There's all that varnish stuff coming off. So maybe I'll just use the original float. And I pulled out the pilot jet or the idle jet, which is always kind of risky because it might just break apart. And then I was able to get this small wire all the way through. But there still may be some crud on the walls that I can't get, but at least I got the wire through it. And let me find the emulsion tube. Looks a lot like the idle jet. It's got these little holes in the side. Actually, let's take this brush. This will be good for this. I forgot about this. See if we get anything out of here. All right, and the holes actually look clear. And if you want, I did this with the idle jet. I probably need a little rougher sandpaper, but you can take sandpaper and kind of, if you want to get the bronze back, or the brass anyways. Yeah, I need a little better grit, but so, and I think I was able to get a brush into this oil inlet. a little bit anyways. So really, where's my pick? It's the other side of this. There's still some varnish in here. I wonder if I can get that one of these brushes in there. And you really want to get all of this out, because if something flakes off, it's just going to clog up your main jet or your idle jet or both. So, you know what I can do is get a Q-tip on a drill and maybe get something in there to swab this out, as well as the where am I in life? Yeah, right here, as well as where the idle jet goes, because there's a little bit of dirt in there. Not as bad as right here, but I can clean this out with the Q-tip. That's a good idea. I'll do that. So you can kind of see that this can be a very involved process. Oh yeah, it's flaking off the float bowl here, big time. I have to scratch it off with this pick. And again, you want to get all this off, because it'll plug up your main or idle jet or both in a heartbeat. But I might be able to just scratch the remainder of this out with this pick. And you might see why I generally advise just getting a new replacement carburetor if you have that option, and you usually do, because I mean, if you're willing to put the time in, you can almost bring anything back, but it could lead to removing the carburetor multiple times and installing it multiple times, because you're continuing to have issues with starting or idling or running, etc. So yeah, I'll just have to pick the rest of this mess out. And it may not really be a good idea buying a used carburetor unless you're just using it for certain parts, because I doubt the seller, is going to go through, or take the time and trouble to clean it to the point where it's really usable. Most of the time the seller will just say, it'll need cleaning, etc., etc. And I've seen some sellers, yeah, I ran it through an ultrasonic cleaner. That doesn't really mean anything. I ran this thing through an ultrasonic cleaner probably a dozen times for, soaking it overnight twice and running the oscillating mode a dozen times at least a half hour each, right? And look where we are. I'm still here messing with it by hand. And so, ran it through an ultrasonic cleaner. Well, who cares? Really? One time, big deal. How dirty was your solution? You could have made it worse. So, and this is probably another reason why you know, if you took this to a motorcycle shop or a scooter shop, they wouldn't work on it because, you know, let's say I get this 99.99% clean and I spend, you know, an hour on it after it's already, you know, after already messing it with it in the ultrasonic cleaner for several hours. And, you know, that one speck of varnish or whatever clogs up the main jet after the customer gets it back. You know, they're going to be calling me on the phone. You didn't fix this. You don't know what you're doing. You know, I want my money back. So, I mean, this is just the carburetor. You know, generally with a bike that's 40 years old, I'd be surprised if anybody wants to touch it because you could fix one thing and, you know, two other things go wrong when it's back with the customer, and, you know, the customer not knowing any better is going to blame you. You know, you cleaned the carburetor. I don't understand why, you know, the kickstand fell off. That's all your fault. That's something my wife would do. No, nobody sabotaged your car, honey. It's just, you know, it was a coincidence that, you know, you got your oil changed and now your muffler needs replaced. You know, there's really, the mechanic didn't sabotage your muffler. So, anyhow, I will shut up and keep scratching away here. Get out my drill bit and, or my drill and a Q-tip and go to work. And hopefully we are close to done with this carburetor because it has been a disaster. Hey, thanks for watching. Tell you what, let's get this on film because I think if you haven't seen this before, it might be helpful. I've got my drill. I've loaded it with a Q-tip. And I'm just going to take a little, to start with, WD-40. Squirt it where the float needle sits. And then that did a pretty good job. Didn't come out as dirty as I thought it would. Let's load up another Q-tip. Just hit it dry this time. Oh yeah, that's a lot cleaner. And if you want, we can take it a step further. If I can find it real quick like. I probably can't. What's this stuff? No, I think that's done. Throw that away. You know what might work well? I bet you this will work. Let's try this hand cleaner with pumice, however it's pronounced. I was going to get some chrome cleaner, but I don't see it right away. So, this is a similar idea. Let's see here. Put a little bit on the, clean my cheek and gum. Just see what that does. Oh, that came out dirty. That might just be the WD-40 though. let's do a little bit where the idle jet sits. Oh my. Oh, wow. That is silvery now. You probably can't see it. Of course, I'll clean out any excess. Yep. That one did not last. Whoops. All right. That worked really well. All right, I'll hit it a couple times with a couple dry ones. It's still pulling a bit of grime on that idle jet passage, or where it goes. That looks a lot better. So anyways, yeah, my main concern now is really, and when you clean a carburetor, get a little bowl for all the little parts and keep them all together. But my main concern is, even though I could run a wire through the idle jet, there might still be junk inside there that'll fall out later. But anyhow, I thought I'd show that. Thanks for watching.